Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Ryan. This is Michigan Storm Chasers. We're going to do things a little different today. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into this severe weather threat incoming for Thursday night. Break it down, timing, locations, hazards, what could happen, all that information coming your way here on this video. Before we get started, though, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor above my head. It is Lifestyle Exteriors. They are based in Lansing. They cover roofing and exterior needs for your residential homes. Give them a call, 989-854-3055. Thank you, as always, to Lifestyle Exteriors for sponsoring our videos here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Like I said, we're going to dive a little deeper in here. So this video may go a little longer in nature, so bear with me here. All right, we're going to start, as we always do, with the overall general outlook with the hazard maps from the Storm Prediction Center. Overall, we have an enhanced risk, a pretty large enhanced risk at that, extends all the way from Wisconsin, even parts of the UP getting clipped up there. Not a huge area, but just a little bit of a clipping up there. The main area within that level 3 risk is down here from about Manistee all the way down here toward Lansing, toward Hillsdale, back to the Lake Michigan area. That orange particular area that I just circled, that is your level 3 risk. All right, further to the east, go ahead and mark this number 3. Further east and further north as well, we have a slight risk there in yellow. That's a level 2 out of a scale of 5. So 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. All right. So that extends pretty much the entire state, minus the other part, or the not other part, but the eastern half of the thumb over here, as well as the eastern half of the UP up here. So a level 2 and level 3 risk for a majority of us in small areas of Michigan in level 1 risk. All right, now let's go ahead and dive into the hazards here. Number one concern currently is large hail. Yes, large hail. We do have a 15%. Actually, let's go ahead and make this official here. Let's go from east to west here. In the brown red color over here is a 5 to 14% risk for large hail within a 25-mile point on any part of this map in that color. Further west here in yellow, it is a 15 to 29% chance of large hail. And then over here in this red zone, it's a 30 to 44% chance of large hail within a 25-mile point within that particular zone. Also notice the hatching, the black box with those little lines, it's called a hatch. That indicates we could have hail that is larger than golf ball size, so significant hail. Highest probability is in red there, as well as in that hatched zone. Second risk, damaging wind. There's no hatching with this one, but it does follow the exact same areas essentially than hail. Kind of flip this back and forth here between wind and hail. You guys barely notice the difference here between wind and hail. Same exact areas, just without the hatching. So going over that again, probabilities are the same as well. 5 to 14% over here in that brown red color, 15 to 29% in yellow, and then 30 to 44% in red for your damaging wind risk. So again, highest in and near the red areas. Now, last but not least, the tornado threat currently, pretty much the entire state, minus way up there by Sault Ste. Marie. The white color does not indicate a threat. So you guys currently up here in Sault Ste. Marie, no threat for you guys as of this map here. The green area is a 2 to 4% risk for a tornado occurring within a 25-mile point of you. In red, it is a 5 to 9% risk for a tornado occurring within a 25-mile point of view, and that extends all the way basically the entire western half of Michigan and parts of the southwestern UP. Now, let's go ahead and talk about timing and exact areas we are concerned about here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Let's go ahead and start with today, Wednesday. Breaking this down a little bit further, this is today, 9 a.m., so it's about 10:07 right now as I'm making this video. So as of right now, we're seeing a couple showers up there across the northern lower part of Michigan. As we get through the day here, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, as we move toward that 3 p.m. time frame, get toward peak heating, we could have these pop-up showers and storms that try to do something across the state today. Now, no severe weather is expected today, but I wouldn't be shocked if a storm or two does become strong, mainly with damaging winds, or not damaging, but gusty winds and perhaps some small hail. Main time frame here is afternoon. So here's 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And as the sun goes down, those showers and storms will dissipate. And by midnight, we're just left with some scattered showers, maybe a ripple of thunder in a very select portion of the state. So today, isolated to scattered showers, no severes expected. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two storms tries to become strong. All right. Now, moving into Thursday, here is point number one. We're going to stop it right here at 9 a.m. Thursday. Most of the day on Thursday, in fact, pretty much the entire day on Thursday, will be dry for 95% of all of us. We get to the late evening time frame. That is when severe weather concerns begin to ramp up. So, repeating that, if you see a weather app or a forecast that says, hey, Thursday is going to be a beautiful, warm, muggy day, they're right. It is. There is no severe weather expected until late evening. All right. So we're going to walk through this here on the radar. 9 a.m. here, Thursday morning, 10 a.m. right here's 10, 11 a.m., noon. Notice how there's nothing going on in the state. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. We're going to pause it right there and notice off to our west in Wisconsin, there is our concern. 8 p.m. is starting to rain up there in the UP. Also starting to get some pop-up storms down here in the southwest corner of Michigan here about 8 p.m. Let's go to 9 p.m. We have storm arrival here in western Michigan and the UP. So all day tomorrow, while an isolated storm or shower is possible, severe weather concerns will not ramp up until around that 8 to 9 p.m. or after time frame. And do keep in mind, that's also right now for the UP as well as the western half of Michigan. If you're over here in Detroit or the Thumb or the Tri-Cities, you're going to have a few hours yet to get this threat over to you. Let's go ahead and go hour by hour here. This is 9 p.m. Eastern. Here's 10 p.m. Here's 11 p.m. Here's midnight. Here's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and by about 3, those storms with that line are pushed out of the state. Now, let's go ahead and back this on up, and I'm going to pause it right here at 10 p.m. I want to take a dive into the ingredients in place for severe weather and talk about why we are concerned for this. Let's go ahead and start with our instability. What's going to fuel these storms? We're going to pause it right there, 10 p.m. Now, for baseline, we want to see about 1,000 joules of CAPE. We call it CAPE, and we measure it in joules. So, on this map here, we have a large area across South and West Michigan above 1,000 joules, and even some areas down here close to 2, 3, 4,000 joules. So we have plenty of instability down here. Notice further north as well, we have 700 joules up here. That is and can be sufficient. Up here in the UP at 1,000 joules as well. So that threat does extend north and west here at 10 p.m. But obviously, the higher colors and higher concerns are down here in the south and in particularly west portion of Michigan at 10 p.m. Now, as we move later on in the evening, that does linger, so it will not immediately die off after sunset. So this threat will continue into the overnight hours. Here's midnight. We still have close to 3,000 joules here across southern Michigan. Here's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. By that time that line's pushed out of the state, we still have lingering instability around, so there's plenty of juice out there for this to become a concern. Back this back up here to 10 p.m. Let's switch over here to our wind shear. Yes, our wind shear. We have plenty of it. We have a lot of it, actually. This whole general area, as this line pushes, we are looking at wind shear above 40 to 50 knots. For severe weather, we want about 35 or higher. We have about 40 to 50, which is plenty sufficient for updraft organization that will aid in sufficient storm maintenance. All right. So check your shear, check your instability. Your lift is also checked off because of low pressure systems in the area. We have plenty of lift here. Now, the main concern that catches my eye here are two things in particular. We overlap the instability with the wind shear. We get something called supercell composite, and we have a lot of it. Okay, this is going to be what our concern here is really ramping up here. We have a very high-end environment forecasted here for that southern part of Michigan and northern part of Indiana, Northwest Ohio as well. The composite here on the map I'm using has 27 to 33 on the composite. That is very high in terms of the scale here. So we're looking at a moderate to high-end environment here for severe weather. I also want to highlight one thing else here, and that is our tornado parameter. We are getting close to that 6 to 10 parameter here on the map I'm using, which is also on the higher scale of things. So the overall environment, when you combine all the instability, all the wind shear together, it can become volatile for severe weather of all hazards. Now, the main thing we're going to watch here, which could limit the overall threat, is a capping inversion. Now, Joel talks about this a lot. I'm going to talk about it here very briefly. I'm going to flip over here to Pivotal Weather, which is another model software we use. I'm going to take a sounding, which is the X-ray of the atmosphere here in the Kalamazoo area. I want to talk about this just for a second here. I want to highlight two things. Number one, check out your wind shear here on the side. I'm going to try and get this to a white color. See if this works. There we go. These wind barbs here are your wind direction with height. All right. I want to notice this before I dive into a little bit about the cap. Notice here on the surface, so down here is the surface, up here is the tallest part of the atmosphere. Notice how these wind barbs are changing direction with height. That is called directional shear, and that is what causes storms to rotate. So we have directional shear that is aiding in spin to get these updrafts to rotate. So that is a big concern we're going to watch here. And that is also causing our spin factor, the SRH, storm relative helicity, to also be on the higher end of things. We're close to 400 in the first kilometer of the atmosphere, about 450 in the third kilometer. We only need about 150 to 200 SRH to become concerned for tornadoes. We have double to almost triple that in the atmosphere. So concerning this would be a tornado threat if this materializes. Also, the LCL here, that green line, it's very low to the ground, so that tells us our cloud heights are also pretty low. That also aids in severe weather and also tornado genesis. The main limiting factor we are watching very closely is that capping inversion. Now, a capping inversion essentially is a lid on the atmosphere that kind of traps storms from becoming surface-based. So we want wind, we want tornadoes, we want to see those storms become surface-based, but because there's a cap between the storm updraft and the surface, that storm can't tap into that instability on the ground, so to speak, so it stays what we call elevated. We do have a cap in place here, although it's pretty weak in nature. That sin H is the number we look for here. When it's negative 93 on the surface here, that means we have a weak to moderate cap that may keep things in check, but we also have a good source of lift. Go over to your LI number, -9. That is your lifted indice. That tells us we have plenty of lift available, which also kind of negates that capping factor because lift, a strong source of lift, can break through that cap and also aid in storm development. So we have a lot of things going into this environment. There are some limiting factors, mainly with that capping inversion, where if that cap is stronger than expected, we may be looking at a more hail risk and less of a wind and tornado risk. But if that cap does break, at that point, the environment that we just went over is quite strong in nature. We're concerned for all hazards, hail, wind, and tornadoes. And yes, I will say this, if that cap does break, perhaps a strong tornado or two possible in the south and particularly west part of the state. All right. Main time frame again is going to be after the 9 p.m. time frame. It should clear the state by about 3 a.m. And that environment will work its way east as time goes on. So the eastern half of Michigan will have their chance here as that line progresses. But other than that, it's a very concerning risk here. And as such, we do have that enhanced risk out from the SPC. It's very well placed. I do agree with it 100% fully. I believe Joel already made our maps here. For our severe outlook, it's going to come out at 1 p.m. on the page. It is very similar in nature to this, although Joel will break it down further for you guys to read through on our Facebook page. And we'll also do a briefing tonight at 7 p.m. to discuss what I just talked about here in detail and take questions. But overall, the main takeaway here is yes, there is severe weather concerns tomorrow. It is a decent environment here for severe weather. We do have a little bit of uncertainty with that capping inversion. But if that cap breaks, we could be looking at a decent severe risk developing in Michigan. All right. Make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings. It's a good idea to charge up your phones, get everything ready just in case. Weather radios, if you don't have one, go buy one. Walmart, Walgreens, check around. About 35 to 40 bucks. Program it to your county. It will go off anytime a warning is issued. Very good tool to have. Make sure you have an app ready on your phone for alerts. Your ES alerts turned on your settings on your phone. There are plenty of ways to receive warnings, and as always, us here at MSC, all warnings are automatically posted to our X and Facebook accounts, as well as we are live for any and all severe or tornado warnings in the state of Michigan. So just make sure you guys are staying aware of this threat. Stay tuned. All right, that's all I can say. We'll have another update tonight at 7 p.m. and also tomorrow, because that evening threat is centered after dark, primarily after dark. We have all day to adjust and continue wording this as data fills in and becomes more accurate. So all I'm going to say, round up this video. Severe threat does exist Thursday evening. Pay attention to future forecasts. Data can and probably still will change. As it sits right now, a moderate to high-end environment is forecasted for South and West Michigan. Stay tuned. All right. Any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will be sure to get back with you. And join us tonight, 7 p.m., YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch, for a live stream briefing and Q&A regarding this severe event. You guys enjoy your day. I'll catch you guys tonight.